Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, guys. I know it's been a while. I'm sorry. Okay, I've been really busy and preoccupied, and most of the time when I have chance to like post anything, it's usually on Twitter. Okay, so on X, that's where I post most of my stuff. So you guys should go and check it out. I've posted a lot of things there. Okay, now I want to drop this video on YouTube because I've made a lot of hints towards it in some of my videos and posts, earlier videos and posts, where I mentioned the importance of concept of Qadr and the controversies around concept of Qadr. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the Siffat issue, but we're going to bring in the perspective of Qadr, and I'll show you why I'm doing this. And I feel like it's very, very important. This is very, very important because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You'll see what's really at play here, and you see who is actually being consistent with their principles. Okay, so anyway, guys, that's what we're going to be discussing today. So there's this book. Okay, I've read two main books that talked about Sheikh Ibn Taymiyah's philosophy and his kalam and everything, and all the issues that he had. So you have John Hoover article. That's not even the one I will talk about. So it's mainly Farid Suleiman and what's the name of this? Carl Shariff at Tobgi. Okay, these two books. They have two books on. They have Carl Shariff's book and Farid Suleiman's book. Very detailed explanation of Ibn Taymiyyah and the Taymiyah methodology and their works. Okay, and even all Taymiyahs agree to this. They agree to this because these people, they literally defend Ibn Taymiyyah. They agree with him, so they will actually defend his position on this issue. So it's not even a polemical walk. John Hoover, some of them are more critical of John Hoover, like all these online Tammys. They are more critical of John Hoover because they think he's an Orientalist or whatever. Anyway, those two books, one of them that I'm going to be using in this video to tie it in together with what I want to discuss is the book of Carl Shariff at-Tobgi. Okay, so in his own book, he's talking about Taarud of Sheikh Ibn Taymiyah. Now, in that book, he was playing with two concepts: affirmationism and negationism. So he said Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah, he was against negationism, and he believed you have to affirm. Muthbit, okay, affirm. And then the people that negate, they negate the attributes or they negate something, and then the people that affirm and they affirm something. Now, when I saw this, and even prior to that, I already saw like there's something going on here, because I started from issues like the issues of Qadr. I told you before, if you watch my videos, I used to say that the reason why I am Asharis is because of the Qadr issue. I used to tell people this, they'll be like, what is this guy really talking about? I'm telling you, it's because of the Qadr issue. Okay? Now, that Qadr issue, I understand it very, very well. I understand all the different factions, all the little strings that you can move, where you can move here and here. I know this domain, the issue of Qadr. That's why I said I'm Ashari because of this. Because after weighing everything, I knew I had to choose Ashari position. Now, on the issue of Siffat, I found it a little more confusing. That the discussion, you don't know where this person is or where they are not. Like, it's much more murky compared to the issue of Qadr. And when I get to the end of this video, you see what I mean. Such that it is actually the Taymiyahs, the Taymiyah Salafis, including Sheikh Ibn Taymiyah, they are the ones that are not consistent because they are using different principles. They're not being consistent, whereas the Asharis are consistent. Even the heretics are consistent, apart from the Mu'tazila. So the Jahmis are consistent. The Mu'tazila, they are not consistent. The Taymis, they are not consistent. The Asharis are consistent. Now, you'll be like, what is this guy really talking about? Now, the issue of Qadr, remember, there are also different factions in the issue of Qadr, but there are two main. Remember the affirmationism, negationism thing I told you just now? Now, in the issue of Qadr, there's determinism and libertarian free will. Libertarian free will and determinism. Okay, you see where I'm going with this. And it's actually related because I found out that the Jahmis are actually indeterminists. They're actually indeterminists. No, sorry. They are determinists, incompatibilists. You know what I mean soon. But the point is that Qadari and Jabari, that's what I mean by libertarian free will and determinism. Qadari and the Jabari, that's the historical context of what we're going to discuss. So what is going on here? The affirmationism and negationism that Sheikh Taymiyah is talking about, and in that book that Carl Shariff was explaining, is basically saying the Asharis, they are negationists. That's why Sheikh Taymiyah wrote Bayan Talbis al-Jahmiyyah. The Jahmiyyah are the Asharis, especially Imam Razi and all the other people. Even now, look, the people that Sheikh Taymiyah didn't consider as Jahmis outright, like Imam al-Ashari and the early Asharis. So he made a decision between the early Asharis and the later Asharis. But what he said is that, you see, even these ones, they are the ones that laid the principle for negationism, that now the later people just followed it more consistently. So he's not saying they didn't do anything wrong. Imam al-Ashari and all those early Asharis, they are the ones that laid the principles for the later ones to now become Jahmis. That's what he said. That was what he said, okay? So, and I thought, okay, fine. The Asharis are Jahmis, so that's what they say. And you'll be like, don't they know what they're talking about? They know what they're talking about. Sheikh Taymiyah, they actually know what they're talking about. Okay? And that's what I'm going with in this video. They know why they are calling the Asharis Jahmis. Okay? It's not, and that's why we'll now bring out the distinctions, and I'll show you what I'm really talking about here. So, according to Sheikh Taymiyah, you are either an affirmationist or a negationist. Really. Now, he thinks that there's an extreme of affirmationism also, like the Hashawiyya or the Mujassima, clear Mujassima, and all those people that affirm. He thinks there's one spectrum. The affirmationists that are like bad affirmationists, and then you have the Jahmis, and he thinks him is in the middle. That's what he thinks. He thinks he's in the middle, but I'll show you. There's no clear-cut middle. You either an affirmationist or a negationist. He's right. But that's not all. That's not the end of the discussion. Just like when I tell you that you either support libertarian free will or determinism. But that's not end. That's not the end. Are you an incompatibilist? You can be a compatibilist. And that's what's our position on Qadr. Compatibilism. Therefore, there's a middle ground. And that middle ground still doesn't eliminate the two extremes. There's no way you will not fall to one extreme or not. It's what you do with that extreme. That's what matters. That's what I've come to conclusion to. So when he says that he's in the middle, he's actually an affirmationist, like the Mujassima and the Mushabiha and the Hashawiyya. He's an affirmationist like them, but a much more refined affirmationist. So he will not say God is a jism like my body. God is a body like my body. No, you add infinity, perfection, and all these things to it, to his own affirmationism. Whereas the Asharis, they are not negationists in the sense of the Jahmis. They'll just say God doesn't have any attributes, we deny. No, they negate, but they also affirm. They affirm. But that affirmation is the compatibilist part. If you don't understand the issue of determinism, libertarian free will, and the compatibilism, you might not get this. Because even this issue too, there are some people that think that they are compatibilists. It doesn't mean you're not still a determinist. So compatibilists are still determinists. It's just that they have more to say on the issue of responsibility, for instance. So it's not just because I'm a determinist and that's all. I'm not a fatalist. I'm not an incompatibilist. Therefore, I'm a compatibilist. And that distinction now will not get to some places. There are some people that believe there's no middle ground. That middle ground is fake. They believe you cannot be a compatibilist. You're a Jabari. If you believe in, we'll get to there. We'll get there. This video is already becoming too long, but I'm telling you, I'm drawing on something very serious here. If you know, you know. It's as simple as that. If you know, you know. Okay? And I've also seen it. I've shown you in 3 different ways now. The affirmationist and the negationist, right? I've shown you with the Qadari and the Jabari, or libertarian free will and determinism. There's another distinction like that. The distinction between univocity and equivocity. All of them related to the issue of theology. Univocity and equivocity. There are some people that think analogical is the middle ground. Whereas some people be like, analogical is either univocal or equivocal too. There's no real middle ground. Whereas most people believe that it's analogical that they're using, and it's the third distinction. Let me tell you, I agree with the people that say the middle ground is not a ground in the sense that you're thinking. It's not another category that is the way you're making it. See, if you use analogical predication, You are either a univocal person or an equivocal person. And it was pointed out. For instance, Don Scotus, he pointed this out. He said Aquinas' analogy or analogical position is either univocal or equivocal. I'm serious. On controversies after Aquinas, some people take him as univocal and some people take him as equivocal. Okay? According to Don Scotus, he's actually equivocal. He thinks Aquinas is equivocal. Because he broke down the argument and it's all like, yeah, you're equivocal, bro. Just like someone can look at the compatibilist argument and be like, you're a determinist. Duh. Yeah, I'm a determinist. But I'm a compatibilist too. So anyway, the point I'm making now is that when you call the Asharis Jahmis, yeah, in one sense of negating the attributes of creatures, they are, in that sense. If Jahmi means negationism, let me not say, because the Jahmi, it carries the bad connotation. It carries the polemical meaning of you're a Jahmi or you're a Mujassima. All those terms carry negative meaning. For instance, if I say you Salafi, you're a Mujassima. You guys are actually Mujassima, by the way. Anyway, the point I'm making is that those terms, if you call someone Jahmi, instead of saying negationist, a negationist is better than saying someone is a Jahmi. I'm serious. Funny enough. But the point is this. Asharis are negationists, just like they are determinists. But it doesn't end there, because they affirm the attributes. Like, how do they affirm the attributes? We'll get to that in another video. Just like if I tell you, are you a Jabari? Are you a Jabari? If you say you are not a Jabari, some people think determinism is Jabari. So you're a Jabari. Are you going to now deny determinism because of the term Jabari? Of course not. That's what I'm saying. You are a Jabari in one sense, but you're not a Jabari because you affirm responsibility. You're a compatibilist. So you affirm that humans are responsible for their acts, and you affirm that we have freedom to do what we want, but the free will is not the libertarian sense. Some people won't fall for it. They'll be like, there's no middle ground. Peter Van Inwagen, consequence argument. William James, many philosophers, Immanuel Kant, they think there's no middle ground between determinism and free will. Okay? So, just like they think there's no middle ground between this, some people think there's no middle ground between being a Jahmi or a Mushabiha Mujassima. There's no middle ground. Some people think there's no middle ground between being a, between Univocity and equivocity. People have always thought like this. But now, I now saw that, see, if you want to divide people without any middle ground, the Asharis will be Jahmis, you guys will be Mujassima, Mushabiha, and you guys, now the inconsistent part. The Asharis will be Jabaris, but you guys will be Jabaris too, because you are from Qadr. You're not Mu'tazila and you're not the Qadari. You reject the Qadari and the Mu'tazila position outright. You reject it. Therefore, you guys are Jabaris. This is why I now caught the problem. Once me already accepted that, see, if being Jabari means being a determinist, yes, I'm a Jabari in that sense, but not in the sense of rejecting human responsibility, not in the sense of denying God's will and power over everything, God's providence. I affirm all of this. I don't fall for the other side because it looks better, like libertarian free will and principle of alternate possibility. Get out, man. Qadr, we believe in Qadr. If you believe in Qadr, you're a Jabari. According to, if you want to make that decision of no middle ground, you're a Jabari. If you want to make that argument that Sheikh Taymiyah made that a consistent Ashari is a Jahmi, a consistent person that believes in Qadr is a Jabari. Is a determinist. Okay? So now, what is going on is that I now saw that Salafis, including Sheikh Taymiyah, Ibn Qayyim, all of them, they are Jabaris because they are determinists, compatibilists. They are Jabaris. If you're compatibilist, is it that you fall to, you will say determinism is true, yet it is compatible with freedom. It's compatible with responsibility. That's what compatibilism is. So it's not another thing. It's saying Yes, determinism is true. However, we are free and we are responsible. That's compatibilism, by the way. Whereas the other alternative is to go to the libertarian side, to become a Qadari. You guys are Jabaris. That means you're not consistent. You cannot be Jabari, and then when it comes to the issue of attributes, you're a Jahmi. You say you're not a Jahmi. You should be a Jahmi too. Do you get? If affirmationism and negationism is on this side, Qadari, Jabari is on this side. It's the same thing. I'm telling you, because it's that middle ground argument again. Is it that you fall for one side more than the other side? You guys have chosen the side of the Mushabiha, Mujassima. Even though you are not clear-cut Mujassima, Mushabiha, in the sense of those ones that they are not sophisticated. You're just sophisticated, what's it called? Mujassima, Mushabiha. Whereas the Asharis will be sophisticated Jahmis. In that sense, if you want to be fair, like this video is just laying it out for you. You can go and explore it. If you want more things on this, I'll show you. But the point is that, look at that distinction I just made there. Okay? You guys, when you say you are not a Mushabiha Mujassima, you are not rejecting them. You are saying they should have said body not like my body. Or they should have not used the term Jism. Even though you accept the entailment, you accept that God is spatially extended. That's why people will always charge you with Mujassima Mushabiha. And that's why the Asharis, people always charge them with being Jahmis. It's as simple as that. That's what's going on. If you don't know it, that's what's going on. I've just told you now. In this issue of determinism and free will too, or Jabari and Qadari issue, people will charge you with being a Qadari if you don't affirm Qadr very strongly. And if you affirm Qadr strongly, they will accuse you of being a Jabari. The Christians see all Muslims as Jabaris, fatalists. I'm serious. You don't know this? So, how do you argue with them? By denying Qadr? Of course not. You will not deny Qadr. You affirm it. And you explain to them that we're still free. So I hope, now, the inconsistency that I'm saying is that, you see that the Asharis, they charge them with being Jahmis, and they charge them with being Jabaris. But they are on the same side. But the Salafi Taymiyah is a, what's it called? Affirmationist, or Mushabiha Mujassima here, and a Jabari here. It doesn't work. It should be a Qadari. It should be a Qadari and libertarian free will people. I'm serious. Should be there. Or you should be a sophisticated libertarian free will Qadari. You should not be a Jabari. If you're a Jabari, you've already destroyed your principle. Because the Asharis are consistent. They charge you with being Jahmis and Jabaris. They charge you with being Mushabiha Mujassima and a Jabari. It doesn't work. That's what I'm telling you now. You have to be on the same side. Because it's the same principle. It's the same principle if you get what I'm saying. You cannot be a Jabari here and then a Mushabiha Mujassima. No. Because all of it, by the way, when we start getting into details, I'm telling you now, the details of this issue, the same kind of arguments is being used in the same discussions. I'm not joking. Because, for instance, let me just give you one real quick. The issue of non-cognitivism or equivocity, in the sense like, if you negate God's attributes, what does it mean that God is merciful then? What does it mean that God has knowledge? If you negate it, how do we know this? When it gets to the issue of Qadari and Jabari stuff, or determinism and free will, people ask that same question. Why is God testing us? What is the meaning of test? Why did God say we are free then, if we are not free? This same kind of objection and questioning and this same kind of thing phases itself out. I'm telling you now, the Asharis are consistent and they are not Jahmis or Jabaris. Let me make it clear. They are not Jahmis or Jabaris. The same way, if I'm a compatibilist, you cannot call me a fatalist. And you cannot call me a Jahmi just because I'm a negationist. Just because I'm a determinist, you cannot call me a fatalist. It doesn't follow. Only people that believe there's no middle ground can say that. But me, I've already chosen my side. No matter what, me, I'll still be a determinist and a negationist. Because those stances are together. The same way, if you're affirmationist, you should be a Qadari, Qadari and a a Qadari. It's as simple as that. Anyway, this video is already becoming too long. I don't even know if I'll post it. Funny enough. But I've had enough. I just have to release this video because I see that both sides are the Taymiyah Salafi, they're charging the Asharis with being Jahmis, but they don't know that they are Mujassima by that implication also. So affirmationism, negationism, those are the two options. You cannot lean towards negationism, so you recharge with being a Jahmi, but your motivation is correct. The Asharis do not reject the Jahmi motivation of rejecting tashbih. They don't reject that. What they reject is the annihilation of all attributes, or speaking of God with attributions. That's what they are against. They're not against negationism, because they negate, like, okay, ومن وصف الله بمعنى من معاني البشر فقد كفر. Bro, they negate any attribute of creatures. You cannot ascribe it to God. If you ascribe the same name, it doesn't mean the same thing. That's where equivocity and all these things come in. Two different names, two different genuses, completely different. Whereas you guys on the other side, you believe in univocity, and your affirmationism is univocal. Therefore, you guys are Mushabiha Mujassima. And then you will be like, we're not clear-cut Mujassima Mushabiha because we affirm perfection and all these other your arguments. Fine, fair enough, fine. But we both know what we are doing. And that's why the charge will never go away. I'm exposing it for you now. The Asharis will forever be called Jahmis. And the Taymiyah Salafi will forever be called Mujassima Mushabiha. 100%, just know that. There is no doubt about this. Just as Muslims will forever be called Jabaris by the Christians and the other people that don't uphold determinism or Qadr in a very strong sense. Just like the Calvinists are fatalists because they believe in Qadr. The Christians deem them like this thing is evil, by the way. So it's not something strange that the Asharis are being called Jahmis because of their stance. They are determinists, and the same way they are negationists. But it doesn't mean that's the end of the discussion. Okay? Because they bring revelation into it. They account for revelation and the language of revelation, and they give rational explanations of these things, just like a compatibilist will. You guys, Taymiyah Salafis, you are compatibilists and you lean towards determinism. People from the other side, they will not see all your explanation that it will not work. If you think our argument does not work and we are actually Jahmis, you are a Jabari. That's what I'm telling you now if you don't get it. When you now try to explain that you're not a Jabari, why believing in Qadr and you're a determinist, that's the same thing. So if you think your argument works, your compatibilism, you think it works, then the Ashari position works also. That is the essence of my video. And I think you guys are being inconsistent because you're a Jabari here and you're a Mushabiha there. You should be on the same side. So to avoid the extreme is not the rejection of the essence of the argument. You shouldn't reject being a Jabari by denying Qadr. So you shouldn't reject being a Jahmi by becoming a Mushabiha Mujassima. You do it by being a compatibilist. Okay, I think this video has gone on long enough. So I think we should end it here. I said I might not post it, but I might still post it because what else? These discussions have gone on long enough. Jahmi this and this thing, I'm not a Jahmi. This one way, I'm not a Mushabiha, Mujassima. Like, but people are like, what do you mean your name Jahmi? What do you mean you're not a Mujassima? You're literally a Mujassima. Look at what you said. You're from Jism. You two, you're Jahmi because look at what you said. You negate this. This is where, if you can take yourself out of the discussion for a while, you will see what's going on. And that's how I saw it. I now see that, yes, both sides are not the extreme end. So the Salafi Taymi, they are not Mujassima Mushabiha, like the ones that are not sophisticated. But they are still on that side. They are affirmationists. So you can call them Mujassima Mushabiha. The same way the Asharis, they are not Jahmis in the sense of negating everything. Not even the language that you use. They are not like that. So, but they will still be calling them Jahmis. So they need to be comfortable. Just like if someone call me a determinist, I will not get angry. I understand what he's saying. If he uses polemically, I'll be like, oh, whatever. But I'm not a determinist in the sense that you're thinking. I'm a compatibilist. So that's the way I think it's going to be. Anyway, what do you guys think about this video? What are your opinions? I can provide writings and back up what I'm saying. Especially the middle ground argument. How people eliminate the middle ground. And what are your responses to that? So anyway, see you guys later. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.